Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Trade Talks Live. This is Roger Wakefield, and as you see, I've got Squirt here with me. We are, if you can see the palm trees over my shoulder, we're coming to you live from Punta Cana, the Dominican Republic. Squirt, how you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Good morning, everybody. Good day. Hope everybody's doing wonderful. It's wonderful weather here in Dominican Republic. I hear that it's snowing at home already this morning, so already off to a good start, I feel like.
You know what? It is beautiful here. I know that some of y'all tell me all the time, it's like, that gum, Roger, you look like you lay out by the pool all the time. And I don't, but when I come to places like this, it's been great because I do try to make it where I can get out by the pool. And what we normally do here is we're in training in the morning that starts here at 8 o'clock, or is it 8:30, and we walk out of there 20 minutes before this goes live just so we can come over and do this. So it's kind of pretty cool.
It is. Makes for a fun, interesting morning. Nice to go learn a few things before and, to give that up to come do this. It's a wonderful thing. We're here to help you in your trade every day.
But then the cool thing about it is right after we finish this, we bring in the Skylink, we put the computers away, put the phones away, lock everything up, and then I go get in the pool. And really, I don't get in.
And
I
I
just
head
hang out.
then
And
I
you go
head for the
where?
ocean.
Yeah.
Down to the ocean and hang out at the beach a little bit.
Randy heads down. So, those of y'all that are in the United States getting snow right now, if you're in the Dallas area, man, I feel for y'all. I know it's snowing there. It'll melt later today and turn into ice. So man, I'm sorry y'all are having to deal with that. But Squirt, let's go ahead and jump into the national news. The federal grants drive HVAC upgrades nationwide. Explain that just a little bit.
So the federal government has $2 billion in grants to upgrade HVA systems in schools, hospitals, and government buildings as part of energy efficiency initiatives. There's a big push all across the government, especially with the new things coming out and new efficiencies that have to be hit. So they're having to put a lot into the infrastructure that's originally been there, which is only going to help tradespeople even more because that means more work, and we're already in need. So it's going to line us up good to keep us busy for sure.
Okay, so this is
Uh,
schools, hospitals, and government buildings. But man, this is going to help everybody because that gives more work to the big commercial projects, the big contractors. And the little contractors now, those guys aren't leaving looking for work other places. So it really does help everybody, believe it or not.
yeah, and then like they're going to focus on retrofitting older systems with some energy efficient heat pumps and smart thermostats. Everything's headed in the right direction. They're also doing some special incentives for contractors using sustainable refrigerants. Yeah, that's huge. We've gotten rid of so many refrigerants that we don't use anymore or use them on a super small scale nowadays. I wouldn't say we completely got rid of them, but I'm glad to hear that they are coming out with new ones that are better and it's more sustainable.
And then you've got the special incentives for contractors that are using those and using them. This is a great time to say, hey, look, maybe we need to get on board for this because there's going to be financial people.
Mhm.
Just like I talked about the retrofitting.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, the impact it's going to have, and, we're going to be doing a lot of the retrofits, but guys, that's going to create this major surge in HVAC needs. And it's going to create more job openings for the younger people out there, older people, or people that want to transition. If you're doing something else and you're tired of your office job, guys, get out there and join a trade. You're going to love it. And it's going to give you that great sense of pride if you don't have that in your current job. Not sure where you are currently. It's also going to create some opportunities for business specializing in green building certifications because all this is moving to be more efficient and things like that. So it's going to line up with all the green protocols that are starting to roll out even more and more in our country.
And we've been talking about those this week, and I love that. If your building is not, or if your company is not looking at green buildings and how to get involved with those, I told some of y'all the other day, I'm a lead AP, and it took a lot to do it, but I think that it's a really big deal because when we were big green buildings and working on them, I'm the guy they wanted on it for QA/QC because I understood what it's something your company's not doing right now. It's something you may want to look at. So, partner with local schools and hospitals that are applying for these funds, because if they're getting these grants, if they're getting the funding, it's going to help them out. And also pursue your EPA refrigerant certification to stay compliant. Now, believe it or not, I'm a plumber, but I definitely wanted to grow and thought about getting into HVAC. So I looked at that possibility. So I do have my EPA certification. I am a certified HVAC technician. But at the end of the day, I never did anything with it because, man, I got busy on plumbing and wanted to stay with it. Now, I want to say something. Go ahead.
Being a pipe fitter, I had a quick question on that. How much time does like the EPA refrigerant certification take to do, just out of curiosity?
To be honest, as long as you've been in pipe fitting, if you've got a lot of experience in HVAC, you can normally have whoever holds the license for your contractor or for your company sign off on you saying, look, I mean, Randy, you were in pipe fitting and hooking up VAVs and fan coil units and all that. So you've been involved in it a lot. You can probably contact Brent and say, hey, can you get me the hours for this? Then you go down to a school like Lindsay Cooper or something like that, and you literally take like a 2-week course, go through it. You're a certified HVAC technician, and you get your EPA certification. So it's really a pretty cool deal.
Good
so I want to say something about this comment real quick. Mr. Miyagi of Plumbing, what's up, brother? Did you message me about crypto? That's a hard no. Matt, go in and report that channel. I have fake channels pop up every day. And Alana Kabiti says, how do you do? We're doing wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, now how to increase your bottom line. And this is a really good one, but increasing your profit margins with seasonal maintenance plans. Now, this works great if you're a residential HVAC company, but I've seen plumbing and electrical companies roll it out too. HVAC, it's big. Because by offering seasonal HVAC maintenance plan, it's a great way to boost recurring revenue while providing value to clients. And that value may be that you come in their house and you do an inspection twice a year. You do an inspection before summer, you do an inspection before winter. Guys, here's where that's amazing. If you're involved with the plumbing and electrical company, look at their panels, look at their water heater, look at their filtration system, if they even have one, and mention things like that. But look at their unit. Does it need to be serviced? Does it need to be cleaned? Is their fan clean? Have they been changing filters like they're supposed to? Look at different things like that. But if they're inviting you in their house twice a year, they should be your customer for life. So that to me is one of the big things about the HVAC maintenance plans. But you can tier these plans. So provide options for basic, mid-level, and upper-level services. That way you can cater to the different budgets. And then, Randy, you can bundle it. You can use it in marketing. You can do a lot of different stuff with that, right?
You can. You can include in filter replacements, inspections, and priority service and maintenance plans. Bundle all that stuff together. Give them those different options. You can use that to help create your different tiers. You can have your little basic tier, and that's just to come out once a year and do an inspection. And maybe it's just look, we give you a 15-minute inspection, and then we'll give you 15 minutes to address some things with you or something like that. And it's just a little basic plan. But then you can, offer those bundling packages to where, oh, here, we're going to do this a little more, or we'll give you a little more service, or different, categories if you want to. But then like marketing, you want to use seasonal promotions and email campaigns to attract new signups. Like one of the best examples on this, Black Friday specials, guys. Everybody loves them in America. They want to try to get the best deal possible. Most people know it's around Black Friday. if you threw a little sale out then to offer these services, you could probably pick up a lot of people if you market it right.
And you know what's funny, Randy? I've talked to a lot of these companies that offer these maintenance packages, and some of them have told me, and I mean, you can buy a maintenance package anywhere from $29 a month to got $129 a month. But here's the thing: some of these companies tell me, and they're like, "Look, we make tens, 20s, 50s of thousands of dollars every month doing this." I know some companies that make over $100,000 a month just off their maintenance plans. But they're like, Roger, we really ought to give them away because this keeps the customer calling us back twice a year to come in and look at their system. I don't agree with you on a 15-minute inspection. I think you get in there and you go deep. You do a 360-degree inspection. You spend time. And if you're smart, you schedule them on your slow days. You do stuff like that, and it's amazing. But you do that, you can offer discounts or referrals. Then you can do upsell plans during those service calls, and that makes a ton of difference.
I'll tell you what, the referrals that you just mentioned can be huge because that's how you get all of their friends in the neighborhood. Most people know their neighbors. And if you provide a good service through your company with these plans, referrals, offer some discounts to your customers. Hey, you refer me, and I'll give you 10% off your next month or however you want to do it. Offer some of those things because it's out there.
I love it. All right, so now let's talk about safety. Handling hazardous refrigerants. And, you know, in the United States, we're not allowed to just cut a freon line and release the refrigerant into there, anything at all like that. But let's talk about it, Randy. And I understand vacuum pumps and catching the refrigerant, but go into it just a little bit.
Man, so like EPA is coming out with some stricter regulations. HVAC professionals must be vigilant when working with refrigerants like R410A and R32, and that's the ones like I was talking just a little bit ago that we're kind of trying to get away from more and more in the country.
You bet.
But like some of the key safety tips for it is you're always going to have to use the proper PPE when dealing with refrigerants and things like that, including gloves and goggles whenever you're actually handling those refrigerants. Even the tanks, guys, something could happen. Something could happen to that tank. You never know. The valves could be leaking, something like that. So be careful and just pay attention to what's going on. And then, like you were talking heat pumps, when you learn all the EPA things and stuff like that, you learn different things about heat pumps and how hot they can get sometimes whenever you're actually vacuuming down a system and things like that. So I remember seeing those guys do a lot of different tricks out there. But you really want to follow all the EPA guidelines for the recovery, recycling, and the disposal of all these refrigerants. There's a very strict procedure that has to be done with every different refrigerant. Do the proper things out there. We always want to protect our Mother Earth because that's what she's here for all of us. We all need
Absolutely.
it. Let's make her last. And then you really want to ensure all your technicians are certified under Section 608.
And, another good thing is common mistakes that HVAC techs make with them. Failing to use leak detection tools or improperly venting refrigerants, which can result in fines or the system inefficiency. And, you're talking safety and gloves. Very seldom do you see an HVAC technician use gloves. And guys, these refrigerants, they can freeze your hand. It can be really bad. So, you want to make sure that you're doing anything and everything you can. I like the fact that you mentioned, safety glasses, face shields, goggles, anything at all like that. Protect your eyes. Guys, you get one set of eyeballs, and that's the only one that you get. So to me, that's something that I think is just amazing, doing things like that. But anytime you're working on a system too, think about the safety. It's not just the refrigerant, but getting up in an attic, think about the heat. When it comes to safety, think of it all the way around. I remember being in an attic working on 3 water heaters one day. I was in a big house out in Rockwall, had 3 water heaters. The home inspector came out and said, hey, they don't have a drip leg on the gas line. So I went out, had to take all the gas line apart from each water heater, install a nipple, a T, drip leg, and all that, and then hook it all back up. And it didn't take too terribly long, probably about 45 minutes to do everything by the time you relit them and all. But it was so hot in that attic. I remember one of my plumbers called me one day after I was on my third one, and he called me and said, "Hey, I got a problem over here. I want to talk to you." I said, "Man, I can't talk to you right now." I said, "I'm starting to get dizzy. I'm almost finished, and I need to finish this, and I'll call you when I get up." And I had been drinking water. I had worn the cool rag around my neck. It had already turned hot. I was doing anything and everything I could. But guys, when it comes to safety, think of it all the way around, not just the refrigerant. What can we do to protect ourselves, protect the homeowners, protect the people around us, the people working with us, and make sure that they've got their gloves on. Make sure that they are doing everything too. So when it comes to safety, it's not just you. You're looking out for the people around you. And right before we get off safety, I used to tell Randy when he was little, there was a job I was on. It was Medical City, Dallas. And I used to go in the safety trailer, and I always made sure to get there early for the superintendent meeting. And I sat in the same chair because the wall across from it had a poster that had a little bitty blonde curly haired kid wrapped in a towel, like sitting on a beach. And the poster said, "How do you tell a 5-year-old daddy's never coming home again?" And man, I never forgot that. I thought about it every time I was on a job site. And if you'll look at things like that, it can be a real big deal. Now, next we're going to talk about new construction. And Randy, you love these splits, these mini splits. I'm going to let you talk about them for a minute.
I do. Ductless mini split systems are becoming a preferred option in new buildings due to their energy efficiency and the ease of installation. Guys, these things, we used to have old window units. They draw a lot of power. They use a lot. It takes a lot to cool places down most of the time. These new mini splits, it uses less power to do the same thing, and it keeps your place cooler. We've been looking at them for the little League Pro shop that I work in out of, and we'll have them in there before summer. Not today, obviously, with it being snowy, but they're huge and they're really simple. That most of them come with a pre-line set, so you can do a lot of it and get it up and going pretty quick.
It's funny. I've talked to a lot of the people that a lot of the vendors that sell those, and literally they're like, "Roger, you can install these in a day." They're like, to be honest, a homeowner can install these in one day. And Randy, like you said, they cool a room down pretty daggum good.
They do. And then also you can get like some for multi-zone temperature control, where you can control different rooms at different temperatures, which is huge for the spouse or whatever. Everybody likes it a little different, and some rooms get hotter than others. So you can actually set different ones to different rooms to help keep that efficiency down to the lowest that you possibly can.
And we've seen some of those installed. Remember when you and I went through that house in Utah, and it had all these different line sets going to these different areas? It's like, man, this is completely different, because really mini splits aren't that big in Texas, and especially the multi-zones, but they're starting to get that way.
Yeah, they had one. There was one at every door, every entry, things like that. Because their temperatures are different, and I understand that. And I think a lot of those will actually kick on also, just kind of like an air curtain in a way, whenever that door opens and things like that, as these homes get smarter and smarter. But it definitely lowers your installation cost compared to any traditional ducted system. These take no duct or minimal duct. You can duct some of them if you want to, but it's super minimal. It's typically just a unit inside and then a unit outside, and there's pipes in between, and that does it. And they are compatible with net zero home designs.
That is so cool. So how can an HVAC business capitalize on these right now? Because there is a growing demand for them, and we know it.
Train the technicians on mini split installations, and then you really like to sell that to the client. You want to explain to them the energy savings. How much are they saving on their bills? That's like I've said before on here, is don't sell the job that you're doing, sell the result that they're wanting. They want it cool, perfect. Here's my option that's actually going to keep your place cool. It's going to do it a little quicker and it's going to reduce your cost. Most customers love that.
Yeah, I love it. And you look up here, Matt says I love the mini split that has solar panel adapters. And guys, these things, look, solar is becoming popular everywhere. And Lori McNeil says I have mini splits in each room and they're awesome. Highly recommend them. That is fantastic. So mini splits, and I've never had one in a house. I've installed them out at DFW Airport, but we installed those in the offices outside under the jet bridges, so that the people that I guess were working the jet bridges and bringing planes in and stuff like that, they had a place to go in. And it wasn't a big office, but it's enough room for them to go and sit and work and do some things. And this is in Dallas, and they don't need them today, like you said, but it in the middle of summertime when it's 110, 113 degrees, you want something like that. You've installed them and you've been around them. What's your favorite thing about them? I mean, I know they're easy to install, and I love that.
Man, so like one of my favorites, like I did a school out in Midland, and you had the whole school, and then you had the gym that was kind of external from the school, but then they had a connecting corridor. Well, instead of tying that connecting corridor into either one of the actual building HVAC systems, it was like, guys, it's just a hallway. There's a couple double doors on both. Let's throw air curtains in and put a mini split in that whole corridor. Then we only need power drug over to that. That's it. There's no duct, there's no extras. Cut one hole in the wall, throw in that unit, then run the pipe to the other side, and you're done. To do that, to actually cover this little connecting inner piece for our children is amazing to keep them cool. And that's just like one of my favorite installations, but you can use them. There's so many spots that these can go, and they're making them better to where they can cover a larger square footage too.
Now, as y'all can see, there's a couple of, or I say you can see. I don't know if y'all can in this camera or not. You see heads back there. There's a couple of gentlemen back here working, and I'm just trying to make sure that we don't lose our Skylink. If we do, bye guys. It's been fun. Love y'all.
Yeah.
but hopefully not. And Lori says she prefers the ceiling flush mounts versus the wall mounts. So, and there are different types.
Yep.
Make sure you look at them and understand it and stuff like that. Now, this is one that I like. The next thing we're going to talk about is mindset growth. And mindset growth is big because, guys, look, I used to think, look, I'm just a plumber. And I say that, I know it. But what I want you to understand is you can turn rejection into opportunities. So not every client's going to accept your bid or proposal. And to me, there's nothing wrong with that because everybody is not your customer. But rejections can offer valuable lessons for future growth. This gives you an opportunity to learn, why did I get rejected? Why did they say no? Why did they turn me down? Why did someone else get the job? And a lot of times when I'm bidding a job that I really want, I tell them, look, I want to bid this job. If I don't get it, all I ask is that after you accept someone else's bid, you share that bid with me because I want to see what they missed. I want to see what I did different than them, because a lot of time they'll break it down. But you can follow up like that. Ask the clients for feedback to understand why your bid was not chosen. Don't just get mad and say, wow, we didn't get that job. You know what? Somebody else may have bid it so low that you could never get it. And you're not asking them to give you that information so you can come back and try to beat the price. You're trying to see either what they left out or what they didn't include, or maybe what you threw in that wasn't supposed to be. But then learn to refine your pitch. Use your rejection as an opportunity to improve your pricing transparency or your communication skills. Here's the thing. If somebody's buying a car, some people are going to buy the Mercedes. Some people are going to buy the Volkswagen. Here's why. It's the value they see for the money they're spending. And me, I love Chevy trucks. I love big trucks. I love jacked up trucks. But that's where I see my value. I love having that truck. Some people don't. Some people are like, look, man, I just need a truck to get me back and forth to work. And that's all it is. Understand your people. But here's the thing too. By talking to this customer, by talking to this client, you're keeping that door open. You can stay professional and relieve room for future possibilities. They may be doing another job in 2 months from now that's your specialty that you may be able to beat anybody in town on. You may have it dialed in to where you've got your profit margin where you want it, and other people are still trying to learn it, so they're still overcharging for it. That is huge. So, Randy, what do you think? What do you think the best way is to not burn bridges and to help you handle the rejection and understand? And to me, first one, the biggest one is, look, everybody's not your customer. You need to understand that from the beginning.
100%. Like all of this talk, it takes me back to a job that I bid, and it was a bunch of large tanks and some double jacketed steam pipe. But to do that piping, I was going to have to, the piping had to come prefabricated from this certain company. So I reached out for a bid, knew I was going to get the same bid as everybody else pretty much. I turned my bid in, but I lost the job at half of the price. And
Mm.
I'm like, boss, you need to call them because whoever bid that on the other they missed so much because like half of their bid is just the prefab of the pipe. That's not getting the tanks, installing the tanks, doing the concrete, doing all this other stuff. Like, there's no way their price could be that low. Well, hey, they say they have it. We're going to go with them. It's like, look, no problem. We completely understand. My estimator wanted y'all to know what he found because of how deep he studied this project. And if there's anything that y'all need, feel free to give us a call back. We get that call back later, and they're like, hey, yeah, they missed a lot. Could y'all help us get some of these things done and work with them on a few parts? Because we kept that door open and let the client know, look, hey, good luck. But if you do need something, we are here to try to help because we really wanted you to just be aware of this.
Man, I love that. So let's talk about League Pro because we're here at a YouTube conference. We're going through training and education, but this video is sponsored by League Pro. League Pro is, to me, the best leak detection equipment system for plumbers. And I want to talk right now about the training part of it though, because buying a new toy and not knowing how to use it right, you're putting yourself in a bad spot. But buying a toy and getting trained on it the right way out over here on YouTube. But here's the thing is, training is what it's all about. When we bring people in for training for Leak Pro, we literally don't just teach them how to use the leak detection equipment. We teach them how to find and isolate sewer leaks under houses, but we also talk to them about marketing and how to help them grow their companies while they're doing it. So Randy, talk a little bit about the training and what's your favorite part about doing it? Because you went away for 2 months to learn how to do all this.
I did. Went and spent a lot of time with Terry, the original inventor of League Pro. Went through training with him. We put the user manual in there that he used to train from, but we've also added so much to the training because he used to just teach leak detection and that's it. Here you go. He might pull out one thing.
That's what he knew that better than anybody.
And the main thing he wanted was leak detection experts and specialists, people that just do leak detection and that's it. Well, after 2 months and talking to you, obviously doing some leak detection throughout my years, even in the pipe fitting world, I still worked on a lot of plumbing jobs because I was union. So I did a little bit of dual trade. I've always kept my plumbing apprentice card. But you come out here and we teach you line locating. We teach you leak detection locating so that you can actually pinpoint leaks. Then you come in and you learn sewer isolation training. First time I saw that, you told me about it, and I'm like, okay, I think I understand, and I had a decent idea. But
No, you
guys,
didn't.
once you
First
see
time I told you
this,
about it. No, you didn't. First time I told you about it, you looked at me like I was stupid.
once you see this, it blows your mind at how you can do these things to pipe that you can't reach with your hands because it's all buried and there's no touching it. But from the dual clean outs outside, you can do everything from right there if you want. And
So cool.
to figure that out and see that and have the right things to do that is amazing.
I love that. All right. So, and I want to talk a little bit about all trades, but especially when it comes to, say, plumbers, pipe fitters, welders, electricians, and HVAC techs. When there's natural disasters, we're called upon because you think about rescue people going into a building that maybe a gas line's leaking or that they need to find out how to shut it off or how to fix it. Water's leaking. They don't know where the valves are, different things like that. Let's talk about tradespeople and disaster recovery. What's it look like and how can we all help?
And so, like I said, it's disasters. They're pure chaos for the most part. Like recently on a flight, I watched the movie Twisters, and you look at a town that an actual F5 tornado has gone through, and it is completely destroyed. Water spraying up through different houses all over the place. We get called in to come in there, put on our capes, and save the day the best way that we possibly can. And you want to talk about a good feeling? Go do a disaster relief effort. And man, it will change who you are for sure.
And I like this because electricians, they need to get the power back on. We need power in to start building repairs, to start doing anything. But then the broken pipes, the flood restraint systems, anything at all like that, what can you do to keep there from problems? And then general contractors are great to have on board because somebody's got to re-coordinate all the rebuilding. And a lot of times you're doing demo and rebuilding all at the same time. And as a single trade, we may not see the big picture. It's like, wait, I've got to get in and do this. But a good general contractor that's in like, hey, wait, don't tear down this wall, go around because this wall here we're going to try to keep or whatever. But stuff like that is nuts. And there's been a lot of recent examples of where this has happened.
Oh yeah, after recent hurricanes in Florida and Louisiana, demand for skills trades has surged, especially for disaster proof control. Hold the weather that we're facing.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not bad. In Texas, if you're listening to me right now, no matter where you're at, because I know it's snowing all across the country, no matter where you're at, if it's getting down to freezing, if you've got water lines on an exterior wall, start letting those faucets drip. If you're going out of town, I mean, look at us. We're in the Dominican Republic. I've got a faucet upstairs that I've got dripping. It's actually running really slow. But I knew that we were getting ready to go out of town. I looked at the forecast. I saw what was coming. And I'm like, look, I don't want to have a problem. So we addressed it before we ever left and said, hey, we want to make sure that we don't get a call saying, hey, I drove by your house and water's pouring out the front door. So, that was a problem we had, 4 years ago during Snowmageddon. I went over to a lady's house, brought NBC5 with me. What was his name? Jay Gray. Brought him over there with me. And you walked in, water had been pouring out the front door. She had her neighbors shut the water off, then had somebody come open it so we could get in. And I took a news crew in there and they're like, man, you got problems. But they were in Cancun. So it was really kind of tough to get a call while you're on vacation. You get a call saying, hey, look, you got water running out your front door and we don't know what to do.
Yeah, and it's good to have a plumber at home that you can call and send in your home while you're out
Yeah.
also,
Build those.
so it's
All right. It looks like I'm back squared. I don't know if you are. Let's
I'm
move
back.
on to laws and licenses. But hey, Colton, if you'll create a scroller that says something like, whenever we're out of town with the Skylink like that, look, if we may bounce in and out, but we're going to keep trying to come back. I'd appreciate that. But Randy, laws and licenses, you've been studying changes coming up in the HVAC license requirements. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, several states have updated their licensing rules to include training on new refrigerants and energy efficiency standards. Just like we were talking earlier, the old refrigerants are going. We're trying to get rid of it. So go get trained on stuff. That way you know exactly how to safely handle it and provide your services. And then
Man, that's cool.
California, California is now mandating additional coursework for technicians working on any heat pumps. That's super important because heat pumps can be bad. You've got to be trained and know exactly what you're doing, because each heat pump's going to act a little different with each refrigerant too, and that's something to always remember.
And here's the deal. If you're, no matter what state you're in, you need to reach out to your AHJ, the authority having jurisdiction, and TikTok, Instagram. I'm talking to y'all too. If you've got questions or comments, please jump over to YouTube. We're on the Trade Talks. And if you'll let me know where you come from, I'd appreciate it. But here's the deal. You need to reach out to the AHJ and say, hey, look, what changes are coming up? And some of them may have been implemented last September, some of them January 1st, maybe some of them not till March. But here's the deal. Reach out to your AHJ and say, hey, what's coming up? And then when that's done, you want to make sure that you are joined into professional organizations because they're going to keep you abreast of stuff like this. But get any training that you can as early as you can. You don't want to wait until they change the code on something to then say, okay, now we're going to get trained on it. Guys, you want to start looking at these laws and licenses that are coming up in your state. And luckily, I try going to the plumbing board meetings. It's been a while since I've been, I know that. But any meetings that I can go to and continuing education, it's a big deal. I was in Orlando in October, and literally one Saturday, instead of going down to my training, I'm sitting in a plumber's continuing education course because I needed to. So it is what it is. You do what you got to do. But a lot of times, if the CE courses are good, they're going to teach you the things that you need to learn and need to do and stuff like that. But regular updates with those organizations that you're in, and then getting that training early is going to be a really, really big deal.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's for any trade.
You
Sign
bet.
up with all the agencies you can. If they have a newsletter, sign up for it. Even if it's a bunch of spam most of the year, those few emails that are huge are so important. You do not want to miss that.
And if your board meeting, if it's one you can't go to, go back and watch the video replay. Go back and look at the notes from it, because a lot of times they'll give you the handout. This is what we're talking about. This is what we're going over. And little things like that can literally help keep you informed and keep you where you need to be. So it is really neat. And I got somebody here on Instagram says, you've inspired me to pursue plumbing. Thank you. Look, do me a favor, jump over into the Trade Talks over on YouTube. Love to hear what it was that has inspired you to do that, or what really makes you want to do that. Randy, let's talk about business training, because sell is something that every technician out there hates to hear. But
Correct.
at the end of the day, we're all in the business of sales. If we're not doing sales, our companies aren't making money, and we're not going to be able to make it grow.
That's it. And as service technicians, don't be pushy with your customers. Okay. Like I was just saying earlier in the show, and I'll repeat myself again, Don't just sell the service that you're doing, sell the result that is truly going to benefit your client. That's what they're truly buying. Don't try to, oh, here's the big upsell. Oh, yeah, you're going to have this. No, explain to them what it is going to do for them before you even start talking about the actual upsell. Explain to them what it is and why they need it. Super huge. You want to educate the clients on it, and that's one of the things I kind of like to do whenever I'm talking to people is, look, okay, I'm not sure about your situation, but what I do know, if it was my house, here's what I would do, and here's why I would do it. And a lot of times, just that kind of customers like, okay, wait, that helps me make my decision. If you've got somebody that's kind of uncertain, uh, bundle some services. That's huge. Anytime that you do upsell, give them a little discount on the thing that you're adding on because you're already there, so you don't have the extra commute back and forth, things like that, and that helps. Uh, but the key for everything is timing. You want to introduce those during inspections or routine service calls. Like we were saying earlier, when you're in to fix this, go ahead and do a 360-degree inspection because another part in the house may be about to fall apart. You know that, but the homeowner may not. So go ahead and take that extra time and check it out then. And that's when you can actually tell, hey, look, here's what I saw up there. Think that you may want to go ahead and do this because it could lead to a bad result if you don't, like you were saying for the lady that was out of town with the water. That's why we go ahead and drip our faucets.
I love that. And we're talking about HVAC here. And HVAC, I love my smart thermostat. I can control my temperature from my house, from my phone right now. And that is such a big deal. What I love about it too is that's an easy upsell. But another one that a lot of people don't talk about, and you've mentioned a lot, is the indoor air quality. Are you offering, UV filtration system or UV sterilization? Offer things that most other companies aren't. Learn how to look at them, learn how to talk about them, learn how to sell them. And when you do stuff like that, that makes such a big deal and it's such a game changer. I want to give a shout out here. Denver Charboy says, I think plumbing deserves to be paid $80 an hour, and he means plumbers. And Denver, I completely agree. I think that we're headed there. And, we've been talking about supply and demand and what's going on there this week. And to be honest, look, we've got fewer and fewer people getting into the trades each year. We've got more people retiring each year. And guys, that's going to drive supply and demand up. And when that does happen, that's exactly where we're going to be. We're going to have a lot of companies out looking, how do I get more people? And to be honest, guys, it's something that we should be looking at right now. If you look at the pricing that you charge, what it's based on, what hourly rate it's based on, and even if you do flat rate pricing, it's based on an hourly rate because it's just based on how many hours it should potentially take to do that project. You multiply that by that hourly rate, and then the materials are factored in and the profit margins you want to make on those. But at the end of the day, raise that $25 an hour and say, hey, look, I'm not going to make a lot of profit on it, but I want to put enough money in here that I can pay an apprentice to come to work for me. And $25 an hour should allow you to pay him $20 an hour plus cover benefits, insurance, whatever it is you've got to cover. Doing things like that is going to help you build an amazing crew for your company. And guys, this is all about building your company the right way. And, talking about building a company, let's talk about vehicles, Randy, because that's one of the biggest investment for people starting a company.
It's huge. It's huge. It's huge because how do your guys one to the other and get their tools there? It's their vehicles. So the better vehicles that you have, the better off your guys are and the more reliable that you are as a company, especially with some super old ones and things. If you've got a schedule that's really tight with every guy on your crew and there's no gaps, and a truck goes down, then what's the solution? You've got to be kind of prepared for these things. But the major thing that's coming now is electric vehicles for trucks for workers.
For the trades?
Yes, electric vehicles are becoming more viable for tradespeople, with manufacturers like Ford, Rivian, and Tesla offering models designed for heavy duty use. I've seen videos of a Tesla providing power to a building because they needed it. And it's like, man, sometimes that would be great to have on a job site whenever the power goes out, things like that. Like, I mean, why not? I just needed to finish this for the day. Hey, plug into my Tesla real quick. But if they've actually starting to make EV vehicles that are heavy duty, the batteries are going to be strong, I guarantee it. And if you ever did have to do something like that, or you work remote out in remote locations, it'll be a great thing to look into.
So what
Some
all
of the
benefits are there? I mean, what
let's
are the
say
biggest benefits?
some of the key benefits, it's going to lower your operating cost with reduced fuel and maintenance expenses. Uh, Motors are way different in EV vehicles. Obviously, there's no motor, less parts, things like that go bad. Uh, Onboard power sources for tools and equipment, and eliminating the need to haul around generators all the time. Just like I was saying, you got to finish that thing, plug into the truck, you're good to go. Uh, there's also tax incentives and rebates that are available for purchasing electric fleets, but you've got to be down to do them all, not just one or two, I'm sure. Uh, and there may be some offers for a couple smallers, but only one I know of currently is about for fleets.
Now, but I know that these are the pros.
Mhm.
What's it cost to charge vehicles? Has anybody done a comparison or talked about it as to look with what you spend on electricity every night charging it? Does that really does it offset the fuel that much, or is it just electricity is a cleaner fuel than gasoline?
Well, so it is going to limit the range that you can go. So if you are in a rural and there's a long distance job out, that could affect things. Like I kind of plan that, and that's part of scheduling and using a software that keeps everything strategically mapped so that you're out for the least amount possible on the road itself. We're trying to save time and gas right now. Future, it's going to be you're trying to keep your electricity to go far enough and stretch far enough. Uh, I haven't done a price breakdown on EV versus gas. I know, I'm kind of old school. I like gas because I do a lot of long trips. I go from one end of the country to the other sometimes. So I like the gas because I can stop, I can fill it up, I can keep going. I don't need to stop for 30 minutes to reach a full charge again.
So, to me, at the end of the day, and I know you've been doing research on this, is it really worth it to go electric, or is it still not quite there yet, or what do you think?
I think so, especially for urban jobs or business. If you're in the city, EV is going to be a great way to go. And if you're wanting to cut some long-term costs that do align with sustainability goals, if one of your core values is trying to make the world a better place,
You bet.
this is something that you're going to have to do at your company because your customers are going to expect you to do that. So if that's one of your main core values, do it. It is time to bite the bullet and go for it. Your customers will end up appreciating.
I love that. So everybody here on TikTok, Instagram, we're over on YouTube Live. I'm of course live here, but I think that y'all can hear Squirt in the background. If you're interested, jump over onto YouTube, go to the Trade Talks. This is Trade Talks Live. And I can't read all your questions because it's a little bitty print and it's way back over here. But if you'll jump over onto YouTube, go to the Trade Talks and find this live stream, jump in. First of all, let us know where you came from. If you came from TikTok or Instagram, love to see y'all over there. And anybody who's still in here or on TikTok or Instagram, remember when you're there, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you get notified. We do this every day. And
Monday through Friday.
Every day. Yeah, every day, Monday through
Every
Friday
weekday.
at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. So, Randy, we've talked a lot about HVAC, and our social media today is an HVAC focus. what do we got today?
Today we are looking at HVAC School. Uh, One of their recent videos, that's kind of what we've been doing all week, is talking about something they've recently done, is how to install a mini split system like a pro. Love that title myself, being from League Pro. It's super relevant though because mini split systems are gaining popularity in both residential and commercial markets, and that's huge. Like I was saying, I used them on schools, things like that. You used them on some different projects. A lot of guard shacks go to mini splits now because they're just becoming a great thing. And if it's something that you're interested in for something that you need, check out HVAC School. Check out this video. Uh, what's the best way for an HVAC tech to promote themselves on socials?
Well, and we're at a YouTube conference. We're in the Dominican Republic right now. We are in Punta Cana, and I got to tell you, there's a lot of different social media people here. The neat thing is because we've met with people that I'm on all the platforms, so people are always asking me, like, how do you do TikTok? How do you do Instagram? How do you do this? But a great idea. And these are some that I love watching, but it's a time lapse. And if you can set up multiple cameras and do a time lapse or do multiple time lapses of an installation video or anything like that, something that takes a while where you can condense it down, people love seeing that. It's fun to watch. It's entertaining. And then the creator can either do a voiceover where he's talking about, okay, right here I was doing this, right here I was doing this. When you time lapse it, turn the audio off, because what you don't want is that really, really fast voice where it sounds like the chipmunks talking or something like that. But what I want you to think about is the next thing that you can do. The other thing that you could do is just give out great tips. Every now and then we'll post a TikTok, Instagram, Facebook short, something like that, talking about advice. Just, hey, have you thought about this? Energy saving tips on your HVAC system, on your plumbing system, on anything at all like that, or a quick how-to that hey, this really doesn't take somebody very long. Make a how-to on how to change your filter at home. You know what? There's a lot of people out there that aren't changing their filters, and we know that from the jobs that we go out on. We'll walk out, and sure enough, you go in, you look, they've got a brand new filter in there, but you look inside the unit, it doesn't look like the filter's ever been changed. And then you always ask them, well, do you change the filter every month? They're like, yep, sure do. But if you go look in their trash can, there's that old dirty filter laying right there, and it's got about 3 inches of crud on it. So time-lapse videos are great, but anytime you can give them energy-saving advice, anything that you can give them tips on to help them do better, to help them understand more about what they're doing, it's phenomenal. And it really does. It makes all the difference in the world. And you can share those on other platforms. And then, we've been talking to people here about doing carousels on LinkedIn and different things like that. Look at each platform that you want to grow on and figure out what is working here, and watch other tradespeople doing what you do and see what they're doing and see how that works out. Because I got to tell you, it's amazing. Alex Carroll down here has a comment. I'm going to go ahead and put this up. It says, have you heard of Goddle in the Southwest? They offer a 2-month paid training for newbies. I think it's wonderful. Goddle is owned by Ken Goodrich, and it's a fantastic company. They're doing a lot of things right. So to me, that's always a good thing. Squirt, let's talk about some questions.
Yeah, so I've got one. We've been talking HVAC, so let's talk about these mini split. Or what's the best way that you can sell a new ductless system to an client with an older home?
I think a good way would be, first of all, talk to them. This is always about your client. It's always about their needs. So you want to make sure that you're talking to them and figuring out what's the best thing for them. Don't just sell them a split system or a mini split because your company's running a contest. Look at what their needs are. Look at what it is they want, what it is that would help them be in a better situation. What's in their budget? What's in their price range? How can you do different things like that? When you do stuff like that, man, I think that is really phenomenal.
I think a cool one there would be attic space.
Yeah.
Getting rid of the duct. Just some people do need that extra space. Like I remember in the new place that we're at, there's so much duct up there, I can barely crawl through there just to pull lines through for the cables that we need. So some spots in that place, it could be nice to have one.
That makes perfect sense too. And look, I love that because then you can deck your attic, which I think is just a great thing to have.
Exactly.
I just keep waiting for him to mow over our Skylink out there.
Yeah. What is the best certification for HVAC professionals in 2025?
Anything that you can do that's going to lead to green, to sustainability. First of all, get your HVAC certification if that's on your career path, if it's something you want to do. Get it. Get your EPA certification. But always look and do what you can. But your EPA certification is probably the biggest one. But heat pump technologies, geothermal, learn things that other people are not learning. And that's going to set you apart from everybody else.
Awesome. You've done some things. You've ran some companies.
Mhm.
What's the best way to handle multiple small jobs efficiently in one day?
I think I talked to an HVAC technician one time, a plumbing technician. And he literally told me he was 100% efficient. 8 hours a day, he's able to bill out and charge out. When you're that good, you make really, really good money. But here's the reason being that he said that he could do that. He said, Roger, there's not a tool that I don't have on my van. And also, if he showed up to a job and there was either a tool he needed or a piece of material, say his camera broke or something, he would literally get the apprentice there started doing something. Keep the apprentice busy while he goes and picks up something, goes and does something. So little things like that, to me, make all the difference in the world, because if you can find a way to keep people busy doing things like that, it's gonna help you make more money. But have your van fully stocked, have it stocked right to where there's not any tools, materials, anything at all like that that you may need, because if you do, it's going to be a problem. And then, Squirt, I got one more for you before we close out. What's the biggest mistakes people make on mini splits?
Oh, improper placement of the indoor unit. Uh, every mini split comes with an instruction manual. I know we normally toss that, but read through there because there's a certain height that it needs to be at based on your ceilings and different things. Because if you mount it wrong, it's not going to get the right airflow and it's not going to cool the home or heat properly. Like it's just that's one of the biggest mistakes I think for poor installations that end up not working out. It's just putting that indoor unit in the wrong location.
Man, that's tough. Well, guys, look, this video is sponsored by Leak Pro. We're so lucky that we found Leak Pro, that we got involved with Leak Pro, that we acquired it. I think Leak Pro is the very best tool for plumbers to have, because if you are not able to find leaks on job, you got to send your customers to someone else or send someone else into your customer's house. So to me, if I'm a plumbing company owner or even a plumber that wants to grow, go to www.leak-pro.com. Check it out, because this is something that can grow the bottom line of your plumbing company. But even if you're a plumber, you can get in here and learn to do things that some other plumbers don't do. And this brings more value to your company, and it's going to make you more money in the long run. And the cool thing about it, we don't just teach how to find leaks on water. We teach how to find it on the cast iron, the PVC under slab. And cool thing is we also teach you how to market it, or how to market you to grow your business. So check it out, www.leak-pro.com, and definitely check out the training. Squirt, thank you very much. It's been a wonderful day.
Thank you. It has live here from Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. Happy Thursday, everybody.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a great day and stay warm.